Matt Shenandoah is here to tell us more about it. Good morning and thanks for being here.
Good morning.
All right, we're going to talk about the magazine here in a little bit, but I want to ask you this. Are we just becoming more aware of tattoos, or is it becoming more popular, do you think?
I think everything is kind of cyclical a little bit,
Yeah,
and I think it's becoming more popular. It's becoming more of an art, but it's also becoming again I think more acceptable in the community. It's a way of expressing yourself, kind of your artistic desires and what you like. And I know friends of mine that have them, and guys in my office that have them, and they there's a lot of good stories behind them, and that's what kind of inspired this issue in the Mandan magazine. You can really talk about that.
Now, I don't know about this, but I've always heard that once you get one, it becomes addicting and you want to add to it and you continue on the canvas, which happens to be your body. All right. 8 tattoo places in Mandan alone. That is a pretty good number.
Yeah, so our fall issue of the Mandan magazine has always kind of been focused on small businesses in Mandan, and tattoo parlors. We kind of started doing an inventory, and we're like, we have a lot of them in here. We have some that have been around for a long time, and then some new ones that have really come into the area here in Mandan over the last few years. And so it was a nice opportunity to get out there and kind of highlight them and kind of hear their story about being in Mandan.
Let me ask you this. Now we're seeing the cover of this current issue of Mandan magazine. Where is this available? Do you mail it out? Do you subscribe? How is this available?
These are available all around Bismarck and Mandan. So it's actually a partnership with the Bismarck magazine. So if people are familiar with the Bismarck magazine, where they can pick that up, it's actually a flip cover. So Bismarck magazine on one side and Mandan on the other side, to kind of feature the two communities. But you can get them in all the different family fairs around town, as well as other distribution points. There's about 400 pickup points around Bismarck and Mandan.
So if you see the aqua color Bismarck on one side, you flip it over and there's the Mandan edition of that. Let me ask you this. Of the 8, they all seem to have their own, for lack of a better term, personality. They all kind of have their own niche that they can cater to customers with.
Yeah, and that was one of the kind of things that stood out to me when we were going through the stories and doing the interview process, is that there's some of these parlors that the story is so different of how they got started. Whether it was a loss of a family member or someone else that inspired them, or just a desire to be in the art community, starting off in some other medium and then moving into tattoos and things like that. And then just their inspiration and style of I think it reflects in the decor of their parlors and what they kind of gravitate to. And so each parlor is very, very different.
I would imagine, a tattoo shop is not a tattoo parlor necessarily one and the same. They're not, they all kind of, like I said, had their own little niche, but and they also have some great stories, and I think you touched on it, Matt. One may be dedicated to a father who was in the service or something like that. That's how some of these got started.
Yeah, some of them started after a passing of a father that was in the military, and the owner was also in the military. So it's kind of that tie-in, and almost a way of honoring that person. Being inspired by others that kind of supported them. But I think the great thing is they all talk about how they enjoy Mandan and the community and what it brings to their own personal art and craft that they do.
And one of the other things is that one of the things of the information that you sent us, I thought it was very interesting that you say they concentrate on the person rather than the design or the ink. They'll sit and talk to you and say, what is it you're trying to make a statement with your tattoo?
Yeah, no, it's definitely not a kind of push them through the door and get as many clients and tattoos. They're really getting to know their clients, getting to know what their tastes are and what they want to have tattooed on them, which is obviously a permanent.
It is a commitment.
So it takes that extra dedication to knowing the person that you're working with, and even the artists themselves, when clients and people that go in, I think they also have to have that connection with the tattoo artist and the owner, just to kind of there's a commitment and a trust. A trust in that.
Well, it is an up close and personal business. So I mean, you get to know your client as well as the artist that's working on you. Okay, we're running out of time here. Outside of this, is there, and I know that things have slowed down a little bit as far as the activities, but as far as Mandan is concerned, Morton County, what's the next big thing coming up?
We've got there is events that are going to be happening this weekend. We got Cardio and Coffee here at Fort
Okay.
Abraham Lincoln. And next weekend they've got the Harvest Walk, and before we know it, we'll be into the Haunted Fort season at Fort Abraham Lincoln State Park. So it's right on our doorstep.
Without question. Visit mandan.nd, correct? Or
No, visit mandan.com.
.com. There you
Yes.
go. Matt, thank you. We'll see you next week.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your information, and pick up one of those magazines. A lot of good information in there.